The Bernina Lock Plus cover is a multi-talent. It's the world's first machine to sew 13 overlock stitch variations and a 5mm wide cover stitch. It's two machines in one. The combination of overlock and cover stitch will give your work a truly professional finish. The 2000 DCE is ready to sew in a matter of minutes. The machine is already in cover stitch mode. Turn the stitch selection dial to position F for cover stitch. The correct tensions are set for you. To thread the machine, raise the presser foot and open the looper cover. You'll find the accessories neatly stowed inside the cover. Follow the purple markings to thread the cover stitch looper. Lay the thread in the support rod guide and thread the first machine guide. Thread the purple colored guides. Press the lever of the auto threader down. Thread the guide. Push the lever up and thread the looper eye. Leave about 8 centimeters, approximately 3 inches of thread hanging in the machine. Now thread the right cover stitch needle, following the green markings. Make sure that the first machine guide is threaded properly. Take the thread through the slit, under the thread guide bar, and through the thread take-up. Thread the guide on the needle clamp. Thread the needle from front to back. Take the thread over the presser foot to the left and cut to the length of the free arm. Thread the left needle in the same way, following the yellow markings. Thread the needle, take the thread to the left over the presser foot and cut. Your machine is now ready to test sew. Place the fabric under the presser foot and needles, lower the foot and sew. The stretchy cover stitch can be sewn in the fabric and not just on the fabric edge. The needle threads form 2 parallel rows of straight stitches 5mm apart. The looper thread neatens the seam on the underside. In cover stitch mode, the needle stop is generally down. Turn the hand wheel away from you to raise the needles, raise the foot, remove the fabric to the left and cut the threads. The seam begin is automatically secured, but it can be pulled open from the seam end. To secure the end, simply pull the left loop through. To sew a simple cover stitch hem, first mark or press the hem depth. Lay the seam allowances in opposite directions so that they are nicely flat. Adjust the stitch length to suit the fabric. Guide your work along one of the lines on the stitch plate. When the machine is in cover stitch mode, the sewing speed is automatically reduced to a maximum of 800 stitches a minute, making it easier for you to position and guide your work. The 5mm cover stitch produces a professional hem on all knits and stretch fabrics. Cover stitch is ideal for sewing elastic or elastic lace onto raw edges. The sprung section of the foot acts as a perfect guide for the elastic. The result is a flat, comfortable, and very stretchy seam which will retain its shape, making it ideal for lingerie or baby wear. Binding gives home-sewn garments a real store-bought look. Cut the fabric 3 times the width of the finished binding. Place the binding on the fabric, right sides together, and sew. Depending on the shape of the opening, stretch the binding slightly while you sew. When you stop sewing, the needles stay in the work so that it doesn't slip out while you reposition or fold the fabric. Fold the binding over the raw edge and sew from the right, guiding the folded edge along the left section of the foot. The looper thread neatens the wrong side. Trim the surplus seam allowance close to the stitches. Binding is perfect for necks and armholes. The cover stitch is ideal for finishing edges with elastic. The elastic is first sewn on with 4-thread overlock. To finish, fold the elastic to the wrong side and cover stitch from the right. Adjust the differential feed to 0.7. This stretches the fabric slightly while you sew to prevent any puckering. The perfect finish for a perfect fit on swimwear and gymnastic clothing. The cover stitch is not limited to practical applications. You can even use the wrong side for decorative effects. Mark the design on the wrong side of the fabric and sew, using a decorative thread in the lower looper. Adjust the thread tension if necessary to suit the thread. There is plenty of room to the right of the needle to move the fabric freely. To avoid catching the threads on the feed dog, slip a piece of paper under the fabric before removing your work. Pull it off gently to the left and cut the threads. You can play endlessly with your machine to create a multitude of delightful effects. The 5mm wide cover stitch is the perfect solution for hems, flat joining seams, bindings, elastic seams, and decorative sewing. It gives a professional finish to all your home sewing. The Bernina Lock Plus cover is 2 machines in one. Now we'll convert from cover stitch mode to overlock mode. Turn the stitch selection dial to select one of the 9 overlock stitches. The correct tensions are set automatically for you. Follow your step-by-step conversion sequence. Raise the presser foot, cut all the threads, and remove them. Lower the presser foot. Use the special needle inserter to remove the needles. They won't drop into the machine with this little gadget. Close the looper cover and press the needle stop button to lower the needle clamp. The conversion arm can only be moved from cover stitch to overlock when the needle clamp is fully lowered. Raise the presser foot and remove it. Remove the stitch plate for cover stitch. Insert the overlock stitch plate and snap the overlock presser foot into place. Remove the cover stitch extension plate by pulling to the left. Line up the markings and attach the overlock knife guard. Turn the hand wheel to raise the needle clamp. There are 4 needle positions. The 2 outer positions are for cover stitch, the 2 inner for overlock. For 4-thread overlock, insert the needles flat sides towards the back in the inner 2 holes. Turn the hand wheel slowly to check that needles, presser foot, and stitch plate correspond with each other. For easy threading, raise the foot and swing it out. The symbols on the stitch display show you the number of threads and needles required for each stitch. For 4-thread overlock, follow the blue markings to thread the upper looper. Thread the looper eye and place the thread to the left under the foot. Then thread the lower looper following the red markings. Press the lever of the auto threader down. Thread the guide. Push the lever up and thread the looper eye. Place the thread to the left under the foot. Follow the green markings to thread the right needle. Thread the needle and place the thread under the foot. Thread the left needle in the same way, following the yellow markings. Thread the needle and place the thread to the left under the foot. Swing the foot back and lower it. Lower the upper knife arm and tighten the screw. Lower the upper knife, it engages automatically. Your Bernina 2000 DCE is now ready to sew 4-thread overlock. Adjust the stitch length, differential feed, and cutting width to suit the chosen fabric and stitch. Overlock stitches can be formed without fabric. To test sew, raise the tip of the foot and position the fabric so that it meets the knife. Overlocking cuts, sews, and neatens in one quick, smooth operation. Continue sewing at the end of the seam to form a chain and then cut. The 4-thread overlock forms a stretchy, hard-wearing seam, ideal for sewing modern clothing with modern fabrics. It is particularly suitable for medium to heavyweight fabrics such as sweatshirt. If you pin your work together, make sure that you remove the pins before they reach the knife. In overlock mode, the needle stop is generally up. Overlocking is fast and efficient. Your Bernina 2000 DCE sews up to 1,500 stitches a minute, producing perfect seams every time. When you've finished sewing a circle, sew over the first few stitches of the seam and then off at an angle. Rethreading is quick and easy. The tensions release automatically when you raise the presser foot. Cut the threads above the cones and simply knot the new threads on. For your safety, the electricity to the motor is cut off when the foot is raised. The safety lamp lights up. If you press the foot control, the light blinks. Swing the foot out, cut the needle threads, and pull the new threads through. Then pull the looper threads through. For 3-thread overlock, insert one needle into one of the inner holes. Depending on the cutting width and whether you'll use the right or left needle, the stitch width can be altered from 3 up to 7 millimeters. You'll find more information on this subject in your instruction manual. 3-thread overlock is mainly used for seams in light to medium weight stretch and knits. It is also ideal for neatening the edges of single layers as well as woven fabrics. Our Bernina 2000 video provides detailed information about overlocking, with practical and interesting suggestions for using the 9 different overlock stitches. Overlocking is not just practical, it's also very decorative. For example, flat locks sewn with decorative thread, or roll hem for a pretty finish. The possibilities are endless. Now we'll convert back from overlock to cover stitch mode. Select position F. Remember, the tensions are set for you. First, cut all the threads. Raise the presser foot and remove the thread chain. Open the looper cover and raise the upper knife so that it engages. Lower the presser foot and remove the needle. For safety reasons, the needle stop function can only be operated when the looper cover is closed. When you move the converter arm from overlock to cover stitch, the movement of the lower looper is automatically altered and the upper looper is released. Raise the upper knife arm, remove the overlock foot and stitch plate. Insert the stitch plate for cover stitch and snap on the foot. Replace the knife guard with the cover stitch extension plate. Turn the hand wheel to raise the needle clamp and insert the needles in the two outer holes for cover stitch. Turn the hand wheel again to check that the stitch plate, presser foot, and needles all correspond. To thread, simply follow the color coding. When you've finished threading, check the stitch length and the differential feed settings. Give your sewing a truly professional finish with the 5mm cover stitch. Overlock and cover stitch complement each other perfectly. The Bernina Lock Plus cover is a multi-talent. Versatility and total user comfort put it in a class of its own. In a matter of minutes, you can turn your overlocker into a cover stitch machine or vice versa. Superb features such as preset automatic tensions, 5mm cover stitch, 13 overlock stitch variations, easy handling, and sewing safety make it the most desirable of machines to own. You'll be proud to say, "I made this myself." We wish you many hours of sewing pleasure with your Bernina 2000 DCE.